And confirm. Well, the first hurdle has been cleared successfully. We have a cast. The biggest mistake you can make at this point is to simply leave them to their own devices and hope that everything works out. And it's important that everyone forms a bond, and that doesn't happen without a little bit of help. So I've organised a cast trip to London. We're off to the West End on Saturday to see the play that goes wrong. Well, I actually picked that play very deliberately because it means that not only will the cast get the opportunity to bond, but they'll also receive a very important lesson about the perils of live theatre, which should focus a few minds. It's a bit of subliminal messaging, really. I know a guy in advertising who swears by it. Apart from India, everyone in the cast has known each other for at least 5 years, so I suppose that strictly speaking, a bonding trip isn't really necessary, but you can never be too careful. Well, I've been in this game long enough to have first-hand experience of what can go wrong when you have a cast that isn't united, and that's a risk I'm just not willing to take. We're 2 rehearsals in now, and everything's going more or less smoothly. I'm excited to see the play begin to take shape. We have had 1 or 2 early hiccups, which is to be expected. For some reason, Susan decided to adopt an accent for her role. I don't know why. Nobody asked her to. She said it was Irish, but you couldn't tell. It just sounded like she had something constantly stuck in her throat and nobody could understand what she was saying. In the end, I had to give her a throat sweep and ask her to stop. I was toying with doing a bit of method acting for my role. Well, it's something I've always wanted to try, staying in character 24/7. Just wasn't sure how feasible that is, though. I mean, can you sleep in character? Plus, I couldn't quite work out why Jack would be doing web design. I think my clients would probably just get confused. So then I thought maybe I could just stay in character for rehearsal. But that didn't work either, because I had to keep coming out of character to direct, and it just all confused everyone. Still, you live and learn. My journey into the world of theatre actually started at school when I took GCSE drama. I got a B in the end. Undeserved. My final performance was excellent. It was a devised piece that I wrote myself, way ahead of its time. No, it was the written side that I fell down on. The world just wasn't ready for my provocative opinions on theatre. Now, it was 2002. Everything was just more conservative back then. Apart from the government, obviously, but, it was a lot harder to be a maverick. Anyway, then I went to university to study computer science and ended up out of the game for a few years. I did briefly join the University Drama Society, but we didn't really gel. I found their audition process to be very flawed. I don't hold it against them. I think it was just a lack of experience on their part. Well, it's a shame, really. Probably cost them a lot of talent. Anyway, after university, I moved to Dingbury, discovered the Players, and, well, the rest is history, as they say. We've run into a slight problem. Just had a text from Paula, our social secretary. She's not happy. That's clear from all the swearing. It might have slipped my mind to mention the London trip to her. Now she's got it into her head that I'm running an unofficial social. That's not ideal. Paula gets very defensive about socials. It's sort of her raison d'etre. Not that I'm in the wrong here. The trip is restricted to cast only, so if you read the rule book, technically, it doesn't qualify as a social. I'm sure Paula will understand that once I've explained it to her. I've just had another text from Paula. She definitely doesn't understand. To be honest, I don't think she's even read the rule book. Anyway, now apparently, she's organising an official social, her words, to see the same show on the same night. Well, I don't understand how she thinks that's going to help anyone. Still, I suppose it's not the end of the world. Paula and I actually go back a long way. Now, we've known each other for, nearly 10 years now. We usually get on well. I think, mainly because we operate in different spheres. Now, I'm not really interested in socials and Paula isn't really interested in plays, so we never have any reason to clash. And to be fair to Paula, she does organise good socials. They are always very heavy on alcohol and not much else, though. She doesn't seem to believe in providing food or soft drinks. Still, everyone seems to have a good time. Probably because of all the booze. Unfortunately, she does get very defensive if anyone threatens her position as social secretary. In fact, she's actually tried several times to get the committee to make attendance at socials mandatory for members. That's how seriously she takes it. Well, just got back from the trip, and I think it's safe to say that a very good time was had by all, I have to say, I was very impressed with the play. Absolutely recommend going if you get the chance. It actually reminded me of a few Players productions that haven't always gone smoothly. Well, nothing quite on that level, I'm pleased to say. I'm sure the cast will have learned some valuable lessons from it, which should hold them in good stead. I gave Chris, who does our set design as well as publicity, some notes on the importance of having a set that's structurally sound, which I think he appreciated. I don't know, he hasn't replied to my email yet. To be honest, the fact that there were two separate groups going to see the same show did cause quite a lot of confusion. Well, a lot of people didn't realise that it wasn't just one big group, so they all got on the same train together. And that would have been fine, but it meant that everyone followed Paula to a pub before we went to the theatre, even though I hadn't allocated any time for that on the schedule. Unfortunately, that meant there was no time for me to give the pep talk that I had planned, but everyone seemed to enjoy themselves regardless. And the good news is that Paula and I are back on speaking terms. Well, I'm not sure we were ever not on speaking terms, really. I suppose we were briefly on shouting terms. Paula did a lot of shouting at me. Not in person, via text, but she wrote everything in caps lock. Anyway, I took advantage of the fact that she'd had a couple of gin and tonics and was in a good mood, and promised to let her organise the end of performance party for the cast, which did the trick. Now, these are the sorts of difficult moments that you get used to dealing with when you're staging a show. Well, I've had a few of them in my times with the Players. I remember one year, half the cast walked out the day before the first performance. I had to organise a sit-down to get everyone back on speaking terms. It was like being in a Martin Scorsese film. Except nobody got killed. And then there was the time someone punched a fellow cast member in the face during a performance. Well, we were supposed to do a stage punch, but they were upset that the other actors stepped on their line. Still, at least it looked real. I think the audience appreciated that, even if the guy getting punched didn't.